Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see the review of Vincenzo episode 9 and 10. I had already posted the review of Vincenzo from episode 1 to 8 as well as the trailer of Vincenzo. I have given the link below in the description. Please do check it out if you have not checked out. Episode 9 begins with Cha Young and Vincenzo contemplating when the boss of Babel will show himself to them. Little do they know, his sights are very much on them right now. Their team works to uncover the identity of Babel's real chairman, who has so far done a thorough job of hiding himself. Babel's partners in crime, Wusang law firm, learn exactly what the real chairman is capable of and how far he'll go to get his way. With the body count growing higher, our leads don't have any time to waste on their efforts to uncover the truth and put a stop to Babel's atrocities. Cha Young laments the loss of the victim's family, but Vincenzo thinks getting revenge for his real mother is enough. They move on to the next stage, attracting out the real head of Babel. At home, Vincenzo thinks through on what the doctor had said. His real mother was diagnosed with late stage of lung cancer in 1993, the same year she left Vincenzo at the orphanage. Her illness was miraculously cured 4 years later without surgery. While in the basement, the tenants have formed little alliances and search for the gold in the building. The real chairman of Babel, Junwoo, comes to know that prosecutor Jung is in charge of investigating Babel. Dr. Jung investigated Babel when Junwoo's father was the chairman. He is notoriously strong-willed and unmovable. In the middle of their meeting, prosecutor Jung calls Junwoo with the deal from director Gil. If Junwoo doesn't kill him and pay him $30 million, he'll disappear. If Junwoo refuses, Jung-moon will expose Jungwoo's identity and leads to the prosecution, including what he did to his father. Jungwoo agrees, but he's got his angry face on. This does not go well with Junwoo. At Jipuragi, the team, Vincenzo, Cha Young and Yu Chan's assistant, look over the official records of Chairman Jung's older brother Jang Hon-suk aka Junwoo, who moved to the United States 15 years ago. He's supposedly an artist and no one knows about him or where he is. There's no records of him even returning for his father's funeral 2 years ago. Although Babel has Shinkwang Bank on their side, the other banks are still not giving loans to Babel because of Cha Young's denouncement of Babel in the press. Chairman Jung frustratedly brings up getting rid of Vincenzo and Cha Young again, but the real chairman, Junwoo, won't hear of it. The chairman of Babel presides over the meeting with Nam Do-pung Prosecutor Service, Mr. Huang and Mr. Seo. Both are in full attendance. Real chairman Junwoo has the whole thing recorded of the two, and the two don't fall in line with the request of Babel. So Junwoo decides to teach them a lesson with masked men hitting them and bringing them tied to Junwoo. When one of the prosecutors do not agree, Junwoo kills him. Seeing this, the other prosecutor instantly agrees. Junwoo's men try to get their hands on the documents related to Babel in Vincenzo's apartment in Gumgam Plaza. The tenants hamper the chances. Junwoo's men also ransack Cha Young's house and Vincenzo shows up at the right time to take them down. Cha Young is so scared that she pleads with Vincenzo not to follow them and to stay with her instead. Now the time for some budding romance between Cha Young and Vincenzo. Vincenzo encourages Cha Young not to stay at home alone and asks her to stay at her friend's place. As luck could have it, none of her friends are available and there's only one person she wants to stay with tonight, and that is no guess at all, and it's obviously Vincenzo. And he blatantly refuses and drops her in a hotel and heads home. Vincenzo heads back to Gumgam Plaza. Cha Young shows up and tells him that she's going to stay with him that night. Thanks to the pigeons, they both end up staying in the living room together. Eventually, Cha Young wakes up and the two prepare to get back to work. Vincenzo and Cha Young speak to Mr. Jung, the prosecutor, about Director Gil's demands and understand what he wants. Vincenzo realizes that Director Gil knows who the real chairman of Babel is. Babel Group slowly start making their moves. Thanks to an investment from Donggil and Taesang banks, they greenlight RDO 90 being produced again and tripled the import of raw materials to boost the production. Vincenzo finds out Director Gil's safe house and decides to talk to him to find out who the real chairman of Babel is. Unfortunately, when he reaches there, he finds his guards as well as Director Gil brutally murdered. With Director Gil murdered on one side, the family members of the victims of Babel are also murdered on the other side. This shocks Vincenzo and Cha Young. With this, we come to the end of episode 9. Episode 10 of Vincenzo begins with forensic team arriving at the crime scene of both Director Gil and victims' family members. The police, as usual, try to close the report as suicide. Cha Young is furious and the next action plan involves in obtaining the phone records of the victim's family and the CCTV footage of the accident. Family members who went on a picnic were brutally murdered because of their involvement in Babel Chemical Warehouse fire accident. The police closed the case as mass suicide. No help from the police and with no other option left, Vincenzo takes control of the situation. After this, it's game on and they are going to get revenge. Vincenzo too is enraged, especially after innocent lives have been killed. This goes against his very principle. He tells Cha Young to keep her heart cold as the dish they are serving up is revenge. In fact, Vincenzo wants to outrightly kill the Babel boss when he finds him. The death of the family of the victims reached the Gyeongbam Plaza residents too. They need to be vigilant, especially as they could be the next on their hit list. However, they remain convinced that Vincenzo will keep them safe. Plan of his own, and that involves catching out Detective Seo. It turns out that he's been bribed and Vincenzo catches him being paid off by Woo-sang law firm. He even records this too. Vincenzo single-handedly takes out both men and leaves them tied up together in an abandoned warehouse building. He threatens them to push them off the building, so fearing for their lives, they hand over the case details to Cha Young and Vincenzo. Trouble continues to brew at Babel Group. Seong-hook, the managing partner of Woo-sang law firm, takes Han Seo, the dummy chairman of Babel, aside and tells him that he could have Babel all to himself. Of them really frustrated, the managing partner of Woo-sang law firm starts crying as he believes they are in need of a stable and a proper leader. In fact, he even tells him that Han Seo, the dummy chairman of Babel, is the real leader to him in his heart. The following day, Vincenzo receives a call from one of his men and he knows someone has been asking him around Italy about Vincenzo, which leads out Italian to believe this is Babel Group. Well, he heads to this department and finds Cha Young there waiting. Together, they wind up drinking before sleeping and yet again in the living room, thanks to the pigeon in the bedroom. In the morning, Team Vincenzo manages to get hold of the CCTV footage from the victim's car. Red marks on the neck also back up to the theory that these victims were knocked out and kidnapped, and now it's a clear murder. Of Gyeongbam Plaza, along with Vincenzo, decide to fight for their building and for the gold hidden in the basement. Vincenzo reluctantly agrees and they decide to make a public announcement against Gyeongbam Plaza. In fact, they all sit with masks on. Hilariously, Vincenzo is a pigeon called Inzeki. They bring up all the issues surrounding the law firms and promises to expose everything starting with Woo-sang law firm. So and his tenants of Gyeongbam Plaza indirectly call out Moong Hee and Mr. Han of Woo-sang law firm and the dummy chairman of Babel, Mr. Han Seo. This frustrates them very much, except for the real chairman of Babel, Jun Woo. He is really amused by this idea of Vincenzo team. Following night, Team Vincenzo begin their revenge. They plan and simultaneously attack the two Woo-sang law firm directors, namely Moong Hee and Mr. Han, and the fake chairman Mr. Han Seo of Babel. All of them are actually threatened in a mafia style. Jun Woo is agitated and his smile fades away. He even makes a call to someone who promises to be at the airport very soon. Well, this man arrives and confirms that Vincenzo is a consigliere for the mafia boss in Italy. Dr. Jung arrives to Team Vincenzo and informs them that Director Gil's case has been wrapped up as suicide. He promises to help Team Vincenzo and cooperate, but Vincenzo rejects his help. It's nothing personal, of course, and using a metaphor of a rotten apple, they tell him that they can't trust his law firm. That's it all. He calls Cha Young and asks her to meet him as he has a big news about Wusang law firm. While she's out, masked men arrived at Gumgam Plaza looking for Vincenzo. So is not at the Gumgam Plaza. He's out in search of the real chairman of Babel. Meanwhile, the twin Swords gang come and attack the residents of Gumgam Plaza as well as search for Vincenzo. Of Gumgam Plaza successfully fight the gangs, and then it turns out that Junwoo sent them because he wanted to see Vincenzo in action. Just then Cha-young appears and speaks to Junwoo. It turns out that he just wanted an excuse to see her but doesn't have any kind of news that will interest Cha-young. The underpass, Vincenzo stands ready with his gun to take down on Babel's men sent to kill him. Vincenzo fights them all off on his own and finally takes the phone of one of the thugs and demands to know who the chairman of Babel is. Vincenzo can find out. Cha-young shows up with Junwoo and the others. She runs and throws her arms around Vincenzo and he hugs her back. He knows who the chairman is and looks over her shoulders, straight at Junwoo. Cha-young follows his gaze. What a cliffhanger ending. The gloves are off and now Vincenzo knows what we've known for long. Now let's go to the episode review of 9 and 10. The crime antics and Vincenzo don't always mesh well together. When they do, this show fires on all cylinders. What's particularly intriguing about Vincenzo though is just how divided the lines are and how many memorable characters are on both sides of the conflict. We've got the evil real chairman Junwoo, but this time there's a much more vibrant, almost Jokeresque feel of this man, and Junwoo's unpredictable and dangerous persona makes him a force to be reckoned with. His English is fantastic too, and it's clear Taeseon is having a lot of fun playing this role. Turns out some of the darker elements is the humor, which admittedly has won over me, and a touch of romance to add on to it. Earlier on, it felt very jarring, but now that Vincenzo has settled down and it isn't quite so intense with its scenes, this tends to work much more harmoniously alongside the law drama. What happens next remains to be seen, but halfway point of this K-drama sets up a very promising second half to come. If you've made it to this far, you'll undoubtedly be seeing this one through the end. While it's not the best crime drama out there, Vincenzo's character are alone enough to elevate this one and make it into a memorable watch for us. For that alone, this is once worth watching and sticking with the long haul. That's the end of the review of episode 9 and 10. This video, please do share with your family and friends, and don't forget to click on the bell icon. I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye.